It's about the person sitting next to me, Dara Huang, who is from Design House Liberty in London and who's here especially to talk to us about her work, but also about, and a new project that she has, but also about entrepreneurship in her particular business. Dara, thanks so much for coming. I mean, I have a biography here. I'll just read bits of it. It's probably interesting because I asked ChatGPT to generate it for me.
You asked
ChatGPT. I asked artificial intelligence to
really?
to see what
let's
it came up with. So it's a bit of a
let's see what's accurate and what's not, because media loves to lie about me a lot. Apparently, well, you live in a 20 million pound house. So let's see. I'll tell you what's right or wrong.
Dara lives in a 20 million pound house. No, that's not what that's not what it says at the start. But so founder of Design House Liberty. You pursued your undergraduate studies at MIT.
Harvard, guys, it's already wrong.
And but it says that you continued your academic pursuits with a master's in architecture at Harvard. Right. Blah, blah, blah. Honed your skills while collaborating on diverse projects, residential and commercial, large-scale urban projects. So 2013 is when you founded Design House Liberty. Is that correct? Oh, that's good. Based in London. Your philosophy, design philosophy, focuses on creating spaces that inspire, captivate, and enhance the human experience. And beyond your architectural achievements, you're known for your commitment to sustainability and social responsibility, and also for promoting diversity and gender equality within the architectural industry. This is great. You should take this.
Yeah. It said it better than I did.
What's your story? What's your backstory? Tell us how you started out. So you're born in the States. You told me earlier that your dad worked for NASA for 40 years. So you lived quite close to Cape Canaveral, which is the launch pad in Florida for the space shuttle. If any space geeks out there.
Exactly. So I'm a child of an immigrant, first generation American, and I really think that there's a lot of work ethics you learn from being a child of an immigrant, because my dad didn't originally speak English. He didn't have the face of a Caucasian person. And that really taught me really good work ethics from like a very young child. And I saw the way my parents came and adapted. And now I'm in England, so I had to go and adapt. And I call myself a global citizen now because I'm constantly adapting all the time. Like, I'm from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So I think, especially being Asian, it's all about kind of education, adapting to your environment, and working really hard. So that's kind of my background.
And that was, were you the only child or one of
I'm
your
one
siblings?
of two children, and I always find that in every family there's like a black sheep, and that would be me. I'm wearing black. And I was like, my sister's quite normal, picket fence, family van, soccer mom. And I've always been the person traveling around the world. I definitely am ambitious. I'm always pushing the boundaries. Don't take no for an answer. So I think that's more me.
So you have this, seems like a quite high octane professional life. You set up this studio in London. I mean, how does this work with you being on the road for so much of the time? What's the team like? Who does it consist of? What are the skills that your team needs to have?
I think there's a few things people should keep in mind. That business is still a new business until it's 10 years old. That's kind of shocking, isn't it? And so we're 10 years old, and by the time you get there, systems are kind of well-oiled and run on their own. And I also think another big change was the lockdown. It kind of taught me that people can work anywhere and still communicate and still work together and work flawlessly and seamlessly, sometimes even communicate more than we want to. And I think a combination of having an amazing team, but most recently I had an advisor told me that also having the ability to attract amazing talent is talent on its own, because I give a lot of credit to people and I don't always give it to myself, part of Asian culture as well.
Sorry, my microphone
It's
is
okay.
trying to depart from me.
So yeah, I accredit it to an amazing team, coordination, delegation, especially if you're a working mom like I am, a working single mom.
Let's talk about finding talent. How do you find the right kind of people?
So it's funny, when I interview people, I actually don't read their resumes before I sit down with them. Don't worry, I have an operational team, okay? They do all the T's and I's and, they're quite thorough. They got their passports and know their history. I just kind of, I believe when you interview someone, you need to understand what they want in life, because it's not about your company or what they can do for you, because at the end of the day, it's about their agenda and what they want to do. And the question is what they want to do and what you want them to do, does it overlap? And can you bring them to the next level? Because if you can, then you've created this amazing marriage where you can help each other. Because every time I employ someone, I never take them for granted. I recognize that they're giving me their time and their talent. Yeah, I'm paying them, but anyone can pay them. So it's about how can you mutually benefit each other to take each other to the next level.
I mean, this requires a lot of trust and a lot of
Yeah,
self-confidence,
100%.
self-confidence as well.
Yeah.
Did you have that from the start, or is this something that you've developed by doing?
So for me, it's like a person can interview like brilliantly, and this is true. Like, it's when you start working with them that you know whether they've got the chops for the parts. And then once, and it can be like within the first hour or within the first month, where you feel like I can rely on this person. For me, reliability is like everything. Once you got reliability, I never have to see you or speak to you again because I know it's happening. And I love that. I hate micromanaging. I love just giving people wings to fly. I trust you. You're on board. You're good. But then on the opposite end, if I can't rely on you, you're out. And that's cutthroat. And I'm not good at being cutthroat, actually. I kind of suck. I'm a terrible firing person, but...
Do you do the firing yourself?
No, I don't.
You delegate that to someone else?
No, I'm what I call an opener. And then my whole team are like closers. Whether it's like money, firing, like anything, I'm not a closer. I'm actually terrible at confrontation.
Do you think you learned? Would you describe yourself as an entrepreneur?
Absolutely.
Is this something that's innate, that's in you, or do you?
Yeah, 100%. I think that, there's this question I had. Is like, entrepreneurs, are they born or are they bred? And I kind of feel like they are born, but they can be bred to be better. So when I was in my 20s, I didn't have a lot of confidence. I was working for Herzog Zimmermann and Foster & Partners. I was the girl in the back. Even though I was the top of my class at Harvard, I didn't have a voice in the corporate world because I was afraid of a room full of men. I was afraid of...
What was that experience like, working at Zimmermann and Foster's?
I felt like I was very shy. Can you believe that? I was really shy. I just felt like my opinion didn't matter, that it's, I'm in property, it's a man's industry. And I felt like their voice was ultimately more important and I couldn't say anything. And anyways, after basically being fired, I was kind of forced to explore what I was good at. And I'm really good at making money. And I'm also very good at vision too, right? So when you combine vision with ability to bring business development into the picture, that's a business, right? And then you've got operations as the third wheel, which I suck at. But I know I suck at it. And I think that's most key is know what you're bad at, because that's more important than knowing what you're good at, because what you're good at is going to surface no matter what. That's inevitable. I didn't know I was good at what we call business development, right? I didn't know that. But when you're in a sink or swim position and you don't have a choice, I started a business not knowing what business was. But I was like, wow, I got clients really easily. This is amazing. Most people struggle, You just naturally fall into it. And that's why I said born or bred. I think it's more born.
And it doesn't feel like business because it's something
I love it.
You're passionate about,
Yeah.
and it comes naturally to you.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a how important is credibility to you within the industry? I mean, it's not often that you hear people say, particularly architects say, I'm great at making money.
I know, I should never say that. It's going to be quoted in some
me personally, I don't think that I have no
nasty paper.
Precisely. And is that a response you feel like you've had from other
100%.
creatives?
I think creatives are afraid to make money. Like, I was afraid to be surrounded by my peers, be like, oh my God, you care about that? And I want to be very clear. First and foremost, I didn't start a design business to make money. That was never my agenda. In fact, the first advice I give to people starting a business is do it if it's in your heart, because you'll never be the best if you're not passionate about it, because businesses fail and they take a long time to succeed. And if you're still not getting paid or breaking even in year 3, like, you're going to stop.
Right.
So first and foremost, you have to do something you absolutely love and that you're talented at. Because if you're not, there's too much competition in this world. Like, you have to be the best at it. Or don't do it. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be a talent. It could be like, I really like to do operations, or I really like accounting, or I really like whatever it is. I really like watching grass grow. You be the best grass grow. Just do it. So for me, I was an artist before I was a designer. Like, as a child, I was doing art. And then when I got to college, my parents are like, and you have to pick a professional degree. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Because you born and bred me to be an artist. But a lot of design is about vision. So designers are artists. So this is something I was born with, like a talent. And then I think personality, like I said, I had immigrant parents, and I think I'm naturally, I'm just naturally, I think, like, good at, do I want to say communication? I don't know.
Possibly.
Maybe.
You seem like you're good at communication in a very and that's a compliment.
I don't know if I'm good.
That's a huge compliment.
No, let me correct that. I'm not good at communication. In fact, I said earlier I'm very bad at confrontation. What I'm good at, and this for any of you is a really important trick and skill set for everyone in this room. I'm very good at understanding what the person across from me wants. And that is like a sales tactic and mechanism, not only just for like sales and business, but also for friendship, for trust, even like a waiter at a restaurant, an exchange at a cafe. It's like you have to kind of feed people, what they want. And I think that's probably the tipping, like that's the hat trick.
But I mean, there are moments of necessary confrontation with clients, for example, to get the best results. Also for the clients. It's not, I'm not talking about the kind of cliched tension between me, the creative, with my vision, and the client is stupid and doesn't know what's good for them. And how do you manage that then when you have to speak truth to the client? Yeah,
this is probably bad advice, guys, but I tend to delegate all the confrontation. So by the time it gets to me, it's been slow deflated that the client is kind of okay. And then the thing that sucks is I tell my whole team, I'm like, don't come to me unless there's a problem. Like, if there's like a big problem that nobody can solve. Like, I want everyone to solve their own problems. And usually it's always like a pissed off client, right? So once it's escalated to that level, it's been deflated, then yes, I have to pick up the phone or see them in person, and I have to smoothly deliver the message. And there's actually tricks to this. I don't even think we have enough time to talk about this, but there's like psychological tricks to how to deflate situations when you speak to somebody. It's like, first, understanding, I completely understand why you're upset with this situation, right? But at the end of the day, what you want to do is like resolution. So first, it's like, even if you're in a fight with your child, even psychologists say the first thing you do is say you understand why they're upset. Even if you don't understand, even if it's a tantrum, you say, I understand. And then you say, however, we're doing our best. And then you present a solution, right? And then you kind of come to a resolution at the end. So I've had to like break deals with people. I've had to, bend over backwards, but.
Most of your clients are big budget property developers. Is that
Yeah.
right? It's notoriously a male-dominated sector.
Yeah.
What's your experience been as a woman entrepreneur in this
It's really
field?
funny. I was just talking to somebody about this on my way here. And I find it really empowering to be a woman in a male-dominated field. And maybe it's because, I own my company. I don't know. But in somehow or another, that I think puts me in a place of power. You know what I mean? I can relate as an employee because I was, and I told you I was afraid to speak in the room. But I feel like if I knew then what I know now, I would have been a lot more upspoken if I knew the power that women harness. And I genuinely believe this. I think that I've always been very positive, and instead of looking at things like, oh, I can't do this because I'm an immigrant and I'm a woman and I'm young, and I've always flipped it on its head. I can get listen, I sit in a room where there's 20 men at a table and I'm usually the youngest one, right? But you can also think oh, I have the ability to harness the power to gain the strength of gathering their attention, right? Because they're you're like a fish out of water. They don't really know what to do with you.
Right. That difference itself is quite powerful.
Yeah, and it's funny because I just recently, I don't know if you know this, I just recently started doing TV. So I'm on a television show right now.
Right.
And it's on Channel 4, guys, at 8 p.m. every Friday night. Sorry, that was my plug-in. And I've never done TV before, but you have to, I feel like women almost need to think about it as a role they slip into. And you have to almost project and act the way that you would expect someone on TV to act. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So even in the workplace or giving a presentation, it's I slip into these roles. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, we're often told that we should be our authentic selves, whatever that means,
Yeah.
in work.
Yeah.
And this is the key to success and to the success of a company or an
Yeah.
organization if everyone is
Yeah.
true to themselves. But there's a huge amount of performance involved in
Yeah, listen, I'm American, so I'm a little bit brutally honest as well, which can be either offensive or refreshing, but, I am who I am. I know my PR is shut up. But I tend to be very honest about how I feel about things. I'll never sugarcoat something. If I had a bad experience, being fired, I'd rather share it and let people know that any place you think is your weakness can be your greatest strength, right? If I wasn't fired, I wouldn't have started a company now, would I? No, I would have climbed some ladder. I thought I was going to climb the ladder. And then I got to corporate and I realized, wow, I really suck at this. I'm not good at following directions. I'm really distracted. I think I have ADHD, but I've never been tested for it, so I don't know. I'm very macro picture at things. But anyways, my point is your weaknesses are your strengths. And your strengths can sometimes be your weaknesses. You just need to figure that out.
Exactly. You just need to work out who you are.
Yeah, because the brilliant part is once you are running your own company, you can then hire up for the things that you're not good at.
Right. Yeah. I wanted to talk to you before we run out of time about, so you're a project, up until now you've been a project-based business.
Yeah.
Creating these
architecture and interiors.
Relatively high budget interiors, that's fair to say.
Actually, it's
luxury.
No,
Can we use that word?
when we started, guys, I started with me and an intern above a hardware shop, right? I swear to God, I had no money, I had student debt, I had no savings, I was young, right? I was 28, 29. I'm let's start a company. I had no money. So what we did was we had great ideas. And sometimes I think people underestimate the power of ideas. So we started working with the cheapest client, which, believe it or not, is actually in the tech sector, because they want creative spaces, but they want all their investment money to go to whatever it is, they can't be and our budget for, fit out is this. So we started taking laminate. We started taking 2x4s. We started making sculptures. We took industrial lights. We were like doing we were hanging it ourselves. Like we had no budget. But I think what got us from like 0 to 10 was that I was really good at networking. And so I was like, why would these developers hire me? I'm nobody and I have no money. So I would make friends with the consultants that told them who to hire, and I would do free work for them, and they would tell them how great I was, so they didn't have to look at my website.
Right.
So it was always like, you can do something great, but think about the next step. I was like, wow, I could spend the same amount of energy on a big development and make more. So again, it's not about money. It's about doing what you love, but it's also about like being clever on how you work. Not just working, if that makes any sense.
That makes sense. And you're now moving from, well, not moving. You still have your projects business, but you're moving into products, right?
Yes,
Dara?
guys, this is really exciting. So I have a second business I'm starting, and it is in furniture and homeware. I do have a business partner. His name is Chris Birch. Most people know him for his wife, Tori Birch.
And why are you doing this? Have you often for projects designed your own furniture, or have you traditionally specified furniture from existing brands?
Traditionally, we are designers, so we would go to fairs like this and we would buy furniture from other people, and we still do, to be quite honest, because our projects are big and we can't make everything. And then we just decided to switch sides and supply our projects, so that's quite nice. Being on the supply side.
So when are you launching? When's the
Okay, guys, the big
brand?
launch, without jinxing myself, is this fall. It's this fall. Yeah. We got it on recordings. Now it has to happen, right?
You've committed yourself.
I have.
Guys, we have a few minutes left, and I would love to kind of just hear some comments from you, some questions from you. Dara has a lot of passion, a lot of drive. Understands business clearly very well. She's made a huge success of it. What do you think? What would you like to know? Any advice that you'd like to get from her? Oh.
Hello, I have a question. You mentioned that it's not about working, it's about how you work. But there's a lot of work. So what would you suggest? 5 tips or 3 main focus?
So I think one thing is let go of control. Okay? I'll give you a really stupid example. When I was coming here to do this talk, I could have had 30 other people, he even offered some, to put together these slides that you see flipping here. But I was like, no, I want to do it because I want to pick the images. And it's why did I do that? That was so stupid. I literally finished 5 minutes before I got up here. You know what I mean? So, that's just one silly example, but I think what I said was find people that you know are going to do a good job. And right now I know 10 out of 10 is going to do a good job. And let them do it, and then have them give it to you and you feedback. And this can be your cleaner, okay? This could be whatever I'm not saying this has to be you have to be the boss or the manager of a business. This could be something so tiny. I think that people get kind of stipend with fear of letting go a little bit, but once you do, oh, thank God. You know what I mean? Your life is easier.
Does it also require you to distance yourself from the idea of perfection as well?
Yeah, I think the biggest example of that is when I started my second company. That means I had to let go of creative control of my first, because I can't be there to do every project. And it still hurts, you know what I mean? Because the stuff coming out now is, not 100%, it's never 100% for me. It's done by a team and I comment, but I can see myself stepping away. And I think at some point we do need to grow up and get to a next level, or else we can't scale and we can't grow. And again, that's me just being okay, let's let go of control and let's, do what's good for the business. It's not about me or my vision. It's about the business and the client, really.
How do you incentivize your team to stay? Because the longer they work with you, the better that kind of that intuitive kind of understanding between you and your team
Yeah.
Obviously, that gets stronger. How do you
I mean, look,
keep people?
I've been doing it for 10 years, so I've done it wrong and I've done it right, right? And I can say right now we're doing it right, and I think that right really starts from the top. It's your management. It's like who you put like in charge of people need to be as cool, as agreeable, as like excited and vibrant as the people below, or else it just doesn't work. I think another maybe obvious thing is how you remunerate people. Like people, you know, it's funny because designers are actually the last people that care about money. It's true. They care about loving what they do. So I think it's the management at top giving them exciting projects and then rewarding them if they did a good job. And I think that formula has worked. Like today we're doing really good, but like I said, we've gone through spouts. Because I was young when I started, I didn't understand management or structure or any of that stuff. Like we've been through spouts where like people felt like ignored or underappreciated or undervalued. And I think that's when, at the end of the day, the human root of all of us just want to be loved. We want to be appreciated.
I think that's a good point to end on. Oh.
Hi.
Apart from this woman in blue who wants to make a comment.
Another question. So you're based in the UK, but you have been raised and educated in the US.
Yeah.
So why are you based in the US, and how is it being different, the work of an architect in the US from being an architect in the UK?
So there's like our careers and then there's our lives, and somehow we need to make them like collide and work together, right? And somehow it's always kind of like when we're young, it's like led by our careers, and then once we get kids and stuff, it's then like swapped and it's led by our lives. So I got to the UK because, you know, I got there when I was like 27. So for the large part, it was just like after Harvard, I worked for Herzog de Meuron, which in my opinion were like the best architects in the world. So I ended up in Switzerland. And then after that, I was 2008. So nobody had a job in the USA. And the next progression was like London, because it was still the EU. There were still opportunities. I got a job at Foster & Partners. I interviewed in New York. I made them transfer me. Like I said, I was very persistent. And then now I'm there because I had a son. Of course, I'm not with his father anymore, but I have to be where my son is. So I think at the beginning I was led by, what can I do to best up my CV? What can I do that's like the best for my career? How can I follow my dreams and learn from the best designers in the world? But now it's more kind of, I think, led by where's my family, where's my heart? And I also think at a certain point in life, there becomes like a tipping point where you value like kind of family matters a little bit more than like, you know, just like drilling it at work. You know? I mean, I work hard, but I work smarter, which is what I was saying. But I also think maybe it's also an object of getting older, you know what I mean? Where you're like, actually, I don't need to do that.
Let's not get old. That's my advice.
We're all young, guys. We're just getting younger, actually.
But like what I would say is, as an Englishman, I would say the America's loss is Britain's gain, and I'm sure the role you play in the London design scene. I know you were talking about a fantastic party you were at last night with a whole bunch of creatives. Is helps the energy of the city, which London needs more now.
I love London.
Than ever before.
I actually think that London is so much more open to international people because they're used to it than even the United States, believe it or not. Like I grew up in the US. I mean, depending on what region and what city you're in the US, I still find London far more welcoming from whatever a point of view of accepting people of other blends, kinds, races, what genders, whatever, than a lot of even American cities sometimes.
It's a hugely tolerant place. And,
it's very tolerant.
We won't go into Brexit now, but I hope that the temporary bar that's been put on particularly creatives, architects and designers moving and working to London and working from London will be reversed. We have to wrap up. We're out of time. Anyone else have a burning question? Otherwise, let's put our hands together for Dara. Thanks so much, Dara.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.